The Ravens are unbeatable when they play their game. When the Ravens play mistake-free football, they're unbeatable. You cannot touch them. The offense is unstoppable. You got Derrick Henry running the rock. You got Lamar's rushing threat, and his arm has moved up into the top 10 category in the league. They can burn you on the ground, and the second you load the box, he is picking your pocket over the top, over the middle. Zay Flowers going for 100 yards. They destroyed the Buffalo Bills for 7/8 of Sunday Night Football. They walked over us. Our defense had no response to them. But the thing about the Ravens, they always shoot themselves in the foot. They do not control what they can control. They lose their grasp on the game because they make the errors. Let's look at the last few games that were notable for me. Last night, Derrick Henry fumbles the ball, momentum swings. Last year in the playoffs, 3 turnovers against the Bills, and they almost won the game. 2023 playoffs, 3 turnovers, Lamar interception and fumble, Lamar interception and fumble, Zay Flowers fumble, and it was a 1-score game in the conference championship against the Chiefs. This is what the Ravens do. They shoot themselves in the foot. They can't win big-time games because they turn over the ball and they make costly mistakes that are self-induced wounds. You can't have it. You have to be precise in these big-time games, and Josh Allen, like a pro, took over. What were your thoughts on the Ravens last night?
Well, like you said, the Ravens, when they're just playing at their best, they're unbeatable. But we said the same thing last year. I mean, as soon as we got a taste of Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, it took a little to get off the tracks. But when they're at their peaks, Derrick Henry at 32, whatever, 8 years old. I mean, the guy's aging like fine wine. Then you got Lamar Jackson. You can't stop him. But like you said, they stop themselves. They shoot themselves in the foot with not being clutch, turn the ball over in bad spots, not getting the proper stop here. And it just seems like when they're just in that big game, something goes wrong. I don't know who to blame because I can't necessarily blame Lamar because, yeah, he had the 2 turnovers against Buffalo in the playoffs last year. But last night, the dude was sensational. Maybe it's Harbaugh. Maybe it's situational. Of course, it's the Henry fumble that also flipped the game upside down. But it just seems like in these big spots, these big games where it's like, the Ravens look like a freaking Super Bowl team. I mean, right now, if they're at their best, no one's better. I'm sorry, no one's better. You just can't guard that. It kind of gives me like Steph and KD vibes. Like, how can you stop that when both of those players are on the court? They can both drop 40. You got to double one, but you can't double the other. But just something happens when they're against Buffalo or against Kansas City where they just can't quite get it done. And it's infuriating if you're a Ravens fan because they've had this team that just looks like they can win a Super Bowl for the last 3 seasons. And that's just not encouraging last night. What a collapse.
Well, you want to talk about just destroying our defense. Like I already talked about it, but they had 30 less offensive snaps, 10 minutes less time of possession, and they scored 1 less point than us last night. Like, you want to talk about unstoppable, it's Lamar and Derrick Henry. You got arguably 2 MVP candidates. Not even arguably. You have 2 MVP candidates on offense. There is no way you can be giving up the game with the fumble like that. But with that being said, I love that you went there, Steven. I'm not blaming Derrick Henry for last night. There's one group, one person maybe you can argue that you blame last night, defensive coordinator and the Ravens defense. I just thought it was unbelievable. Baltimore's defense lost them the game last night. It's just unacceptable for such a talented unit. You got one job against Buffalo. Stop Josh Allen. Easier said than done for sure, but you got one man you got to control. That's it. Keon Coleman, I wouldn't be worried about. Shakir, he's a good number 2, but he's not everything in the world. James Cook, he's a solid back, but he's not a Derrick Henry. He's not a Barkley. He's not a CMC. You really got one job. You bring in Mike Green in the draft. You bring in Malachi Starks. You upgrade the secondary. Jair Alexander looked like burnt toast against our receivers. What happens when you go up against the Jamar Chase, an A.J. Brown, one of the top receivers in the league? I just don't understand it. It's unacceptable mistakes from a defense way too talented to have this happen to them. 41 points. I don't care what happened. The defense lost them the game. That's just unacceptable.
Well, they look really good on paper, especially coming in the season. You got, this new corner, Jair Alexander. Of course, you got Humphrey. Then you got the Notre Dame safety, Kyle Hamilton. Everyone loves. They look really good on paper. Last year, they started off pretty rough too. They couldn't stop a lick last year. Then they played better at the end of the season. I guess the problem with Baltimore, it just starts with the pass rush. I mean, they can't get a pass rush. No one can bring down Josh Allen. And then when you can't get a pass rush, it just exposes your secondary. And, yeah, they should have got stops. Maybe that's a Harbaugh thing. Maybe that's a defensive coordinator thing. I don't know. Or just like their talent's overrated. But you feel like Baltimore, especially when Baltimore for just my entire life has been more of a defensive team, they should have just they should have played better. But maybe it's also just Josh Allen's just Superman. And maybe no defense in the United States was stopping Josh Allen last night. I mean, I don't know if the Chiefs in their best defense 2 years ago could even stop Josh Allen. The guy would just throw touchdowns on him. So, yeah, the Ravens defense should have played better, but I also like to feel like Josh Allen's just amazing, and I don't even think anyone in the country was stopping him last night.